répondu tout à l'heure, mais pour l'instant, je parle en français. No, because I'm supposed to speak in English. I'm supposed to speak in English. I'm supposed to speak in English, and I'm so sorry. So I have to do it all again in English because you didn't have the translation. So thank you all for coming.
Demande la fable avec là comme nos semelles sur les pavés. La rage de voir nos putains de travées, de vivre en travers, la rage gravée, puis bien loin en arrière, la rage d'avoir grandi trop vite. Quand des adultes volent ton enfant, pas imagine un mur et un polybarrage.
I'm Debora Blake. I organized Vers La Vérité because I don't think that we are given an opportunity to see all the sides of the issues, such as war and all of the things that are on the website. So I would like to thank you for coming. It shows that you're interested in what these subjects are all about. And I'd like to start tonight's evening with one of our very special guests, who is an ex-MI5 counter-terrorism officer and whistleblower. Please help me in welcoming Machon.
It's a real privilege to be here. In fact, I had an amazing time organising this event with Debora Blake and many others in Paris. And it's a wonderful opportunity to be able to talk a little bit about what it was like on the inside of intelligence many years ago, but how some of those themes and those problems continue to affect us all in our current lives. As Debora mentioned, I used to work for MI5, which is the UK Security Service, which used to be abbreviated to UKSS. And then they realised it didn't have terribly good connotations on the German experience of the SS. But I was recruited in the early 1990s to work against terrorism, and I was recruited to an organisation that claimed to work within the law. If they wanted to do something otherwise illegal, like listening to our telephone conversations, or invading our homes and our privacy, they were supposed to get political permission to do so, but they failed to do so. Now, I was recruited to work against terrorism, but I was also sent to work against political subversives, people who question the status quo, people who exercise their democratic rights as citizens to talk about political issues. And yet in the UK and many other Western countries, subversives are routinely monitored, or have been routinely monitored. So, bonsoir to any DST officers here. I worked for MI5 for 6 years, and during that time I met a man called David Shaler, and he and I were appalled by so many crimes that we saw committed by the Spies. We saw things like files held on UK politicians, many of whom have now been part of our Labour government since 1997, which I think is a huge problem in a democracy where the spies have secret information held on the politicians who are supposed to be their bosses. We also saw a number of cases where provisional IRA bombs were going off on the UK streets and killing UK citizens, which could and should have been prevented. We also saw, for example, illegal telephone taps on left-wing journalists. But crucially, what I want to raise tonight, because time is brief, were 2 cases of what has become known in the media as false flag terrorism. First of all, the Israeli embassy was bombed in London in 1994, and it was blamed on 2 Palestinians who were convicted of conspiracy to cause that attack. However, the assessment made by senior MI5 officers was that Mossad, the Israeli intelligence agency, had actually bombed their own embassy for political advantage, for increased security, and to attack the Palestinian political network in London. But the case that made us quit happened in 1995 and 1996. In this case, we had MI6, which is the James Bond wing of foreign intelligence in Britain, funding a cell in Libya of Islamic extremist terrorists with known links to some of the so-called Al-Qaeda leadership. And they paid money and helped to organise an assassination attempt against Colonel Gaddafi in in 1996. So we are looking at a case of the Spies of Britain funding our known terrorist enemies at the time to try and assassinate a foreign head of state. And the attack went wrong. Innocent people died. And it was also illegal under UK law, as well as international law. So I can't think of a crime more heinous than the murder of innocents, the conspiracy to murder on the part of the Spies, which of course is then covered up. So we left, we blew the whistle, we went to the public to report the crimes of the Spies. And for that, because of the secrecy laws in the UK, we faced prosecution, not the people who had conspired to kill people. So we ended up on the run around Europe. We sought refuge in France because the French recognised that if you report the crimes of other people, you are not the criminal. So we lived in exile in France for 3 years, in hiding for 1 year. And they tried to extradite David Shayler and to Britain. The British government requested his extradition. And they failed because the French judicial system stood up for basic rights. They said, you blow the whistle, you expose crime, you are not the criminal and we will protect you. So merci à France. We had 2 years living in Paris, pushing and pushing for an inquiry into the crimes of the Spies. And it's such a pleasure to be back here with such fond memories of this city. So that's a bit of the personal history. We went back to the UK in 2000. Shayler stood trial voluntarily and of course was convicted. And the media just lied about what was said in the courtroom. We saw them lie and write the exact opposite of what the judge had said in his formal judgment. Which was an amazing experience to go through. I mean, we all suspect the media could spin and lie and things, but to actually see it face to face was still shocking for me even at that stage. Anyway, I just want to raise a little bit of my personal history with the spy and intelligence world, because I have seen some of the stuff that goes on the inside. I have seen the fact that they get involved in things like false flag terrorism. So, of course, when other big atrocities happen, like the terrible attacks on 9/11 in America, you have to bear in the back of your mind that intelligence agencies and other elements of government can get involved in these things for political advantage. And I have to say, once you start looking at who gained from 9/11, it certainly wasn't the hapless people in the Middle East who have been suffering from illegal wars, who are bombed and maimed and displaced. So there is a mountain of evidence as well from reputable, credible experts and whistleblowers and scientists and lawyers and doctors, as well as millions of concerned citizens around the world who are researching the issue and pull together so much solid, basic evidence that directly contradicts the official account of 9/11. And many, many people are now saying, in the interest of truth and justice, in supporting the families, in supporting the sick first responders, we need a new inquiry to get to the truth. And I'd just like to finish by saying, we need a new inquiry as well because of the impact it continues to have on all of us. 9/11 has affected us globally as people. It is used as the justification for the war on terror, this ongoing, nebulous war on terror. It is being used and has been used as the pretext for the wars in the Middle East, both Afghanistan and Iraq, and all the drone killings in Pakistan, and possibly something against Iran. These are people dying on a daily basis because of the 9/11 attacks. But also bear in mind that 9/11 affects all of us in our daily lives. It is the pretext for the war on terror, and to protect us from the terrorists, our governments are shredding our civil liberties and our democratic rights in all our countries. So we are being affected on a daily basis right here, right now. Interestingly, I recently moved from the UK again to Germany, and I used to joke, well, it was to escape the encroaching fascism of the UK state. And it's true. There are so many laws that have been brought in since 9/11 to erode our freedoms. We can be arrested on UK streets purely so they can work out who we are, to find out our names. They follow us around with CCTV. They want to give us ID cards, RFID chips. They can shred our laws, which have been passed by House and Parliament. They can declare states of emergency and quarantine us and stop us moving freely around and having meetings, and can even demolish our homes in the name of a national emergency and not pay us any compensation. So the UK is becoming quite Orwellian. And I think if we can just get people to start thinking about issues like what is the basis for the justification for all this, then hopefully we can try and stop this slide into totalitarianism, and we can save our democracies. So thank you very much for coming along tonight. Thank you very much for coming to hear all these speakers. It's an amazing array. And please listen and then spread the word as well. Spread the word and let's save our democracies. Thank you very much.